So in October, IMF came out and basically said that there's illiquidity issues with certain funds and certain assets that could pose a very big risk, especially if there's a lot of volatility in the markets or some sort of recession, right? Some sort of problem in the economy. This is something to be aware of. Also in October, we heard about Columbia Threadneedle come out suspending dealings in the UK property fund. We heard also about the UK LDI problem, which I did a full video on, which you can watch by just searching LDI and Infovest for that video. On top of that, we heard yesterday that Florida's DeSantis is dumping billions in investments from the woke BlackRock over ESG investing. This has to do with something else. You can read up on that article. I'll probably post the link. I'll post the links for a couple of these things, these articles in the description for you to read. And most importantly, the one and only Blackstone coming out an article yesterday basically saying, and here's the title, Blackstone limits investor withdrawals from 145 billion REIT as economic concerns grow. Wow. We are starting to see withdrawals, especially like IMF has said. When I started in the beginning of this video, IMF coming out and warning illiquidity problems, especially with funds, big funds that may have assets that are not easy to sell. And we've seen that problem in the UK. It kind of has now fizzled. And now we're seeing American companies like BlackRock and Blackstone having such an issue today, especially with certain selling of funds, people getting out, investors getting out, and most importantly, BlackRock limiting withdrawals. Now let me go through this article and I'll post it in the description for you as well. Now before I go through this article, I just want to say my name is Daniel, and if you're new to this channel, welcome to Infovest. We talk about all macro related news. We talk about investing, trading, the markets, and try to break down certain themes that are happening in the markets and all throughout the videos that I post. If you're interested in learning more, feel free to subscribe to this channel. It's free, and hit the like button on this video if it is resourceful and helpful for you, and hit the bell icon to be notified on the next video. Now let's get into this article. Blackstone has limited withdrawals from its non-traded real estate investment trust after large numbers of investors sought redemptions, making it the latest firm to take such a step as global economic concerns grow. This is pretty big. Blackstone Real Estate Income Trust, known as BREIT, B-R-E-I-T, allowed investors to withdraw 1.3 billion in November. That represented 43% of the redemption request it received, according to a report from the Financial Times. Citing a notice the private REIT sent to investors on Thursday, BREIT had nearly 145 billion in total assets as of September 30th. Investors can redeem up to 5% of their holdings in a quarter, at which point Blackstone can limit withdrawal requests to prevent a forced sale of its real estate holdings. Now, the move comes as real estate investors express concern about how rising interest rates and economic slowdown would affect the commercial property market. The Federal Reserve has raised interest rates to record highs this year as inflation remains quite elevated. Now, you can read through this article. It talks about also a little bit about the redemptions, talk about other companies as well, talks about their sale of one of their big properties. I think it was, I'm trying to read here quickly. I can't find it, but I think it was the MGM Grand Las Vegas and the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino real estate. So they sold a couple of properties there. So here's the thing, right? like we saw with the whole crypto market, like we've seen in 2008, right? First of all, with the crypto market, where you're having this contagion effect where one fund starts to blow up like FTX, stopping withdrawals. Then you get a contagion effect where BlockFi and a bunch of other companies also start to go bust due to their interconnectedness. Same thing in 2008 when the banks were going under because of this total garbage mortgage-backed securities that was spread out throughout the world. And again, they're all connected and you needed the government to come bail them out. Again, the same vibes, the same feeling we are seeing today, starting with the UK LDIs, starting with the Columbia Threadneedle, right? With BlackRock, Blackstone, halting withdrawals, asking for help from the central banks because rates are going crazily high. Yes, rates are going crazily high, and a lot of these companies were not anticipating that. They were betting for a very long time that rates would be low, and they were making money, and tremendous amount of money. Now, with this COVID situation and post-COVID, we had inflation skyrocket to high levels, causing the central banks around the world to skyrocket interest rates. And we're not done with interest rates, too. Yes, maybe the Federal Reserve has decided to slow down with the interest rates, but it's not done. Next year, guess what? They're still going to increase the interest rates. We had Bullard even talk about that maybe getting to a certain restrictive zone, which tends to be 5 to 7%, and inflation doesn't come down, then we're raising rates higher and higher and higher until people start to break and squeal. And these are the signs. These are the signs here when you get a big company, huge asset manager coming out like Blackstone, like BlackRock, like many of these big funds, saying that they need to halt withdrawals, telling their investors, hold up, we can't get you your money right now. That's a red sign, red signal, red flag. Things are breaking. The cracks are showing. It's starting right now. We are seeing signals of this, and it will cascade into something, it looks like, into something bigger, right? Now, with these problems that we're seeing, we still have yet to see growth data for the next year also to come down lower. IMF, like I told you in the beginning of this article, said that illiquid assets would be a problem. Now, guess what? Guess what for illiquid assets like real estate and whatnot? Companies like Blackstone, if they need to give back their investors, and who are these investors, right? These are high net worth investors, wealthy investors, funds, people out there with a lot of money coming out and saying, give me my money. That definitely is a very big sign. And if they have to go and sell these illiquid assets in a time when rates are high, in a time when the demand for the housing market is completely crushed, there's no one out there, hardly anyone out there buying. Because the rates are high, the mortgages are high. And then you've got a big company with a big, chunk of assets that need to let it go in the market. And if it really becomes a problem and it really snowballs and trickles, guess what? They will, like IMF will say, there will be an illiquidity problem. And when there's an illiquidity problem in any market, whether you're looking at the private markets or the public markets, stock markets or private equity, whatever you look at, when there's any time an illiquidity problem, guess what? There's massive panic selling that causes prices to really, really drop. Does that mean real estate is bound to drop when you have these big behemoth whale companies coming out deciding that they need to offload on their houses and their properties because their wealthy investors need their money back? They foresee some pain, or maybe they themselves are going through some pain. They may be going through some pain themselves, or possibly are, especially when you hear articles that people in the Hamptons or their luxury properties that they have, that they're getting rid of them, definitely is the signs of that something is looking like it's going to break. And these are the cracks. And these cracks are starting to get bigger and bigger and wider and wider. And these articles that come out are just signs of it. Anyways, you guys let me know. Leave a comment below, subscribe, hit the like button and the bell icon to be notified on the next video, and I'll see you guys around. Cheers. Bye.